Already daily trading recap. Let's get after it. Took a little vacation off, not so much a vacation, but just getting away from the screens, getting away from the markets. So off of no trading on Friday, coming right back into the action here today. Had some nice opportunities as always. And again, it's not like so crazy, awesome, killer that we would expect or hope for this December trading months, but we'll take what we get, and we're certainly not going to deny and say that the market is wrong, because the market will always and forever be correct. SPY today, little 0.9% day in the red. Let's look at some market internals for dollar volume just for reference for me. $257 billion volume on the NASDAQ today as of 2 hours, 20 minutes after the close. Nice. See $314 billion volume. OTC's $2.5 billion volume for that. Hitting a lot of, just because I did not do a lot of scans, not a lot of preparation coming into today. I knew I'm not trading crazy size still. I'm in the actual cash trading through the cash account right now, but of course still not going above $20. I'm trading DWAC today too, so I'm gonna, if it's over $20, of course I'll just take it for whatever it is. But trading super small size, of course, kind of following along that guidelines of Bryce Toohey of taking $2 risk for what I'm doing for all these trades. So really not emphasizing on actual profits base whatsoever, but getting back to the grind of I need to be focusing on what I'm actually looking at first off, being in the right tickers, and then going from there, developing the entries and exits, getting the experience on level 2 time and sales, chart reading, all that type of patterns. So today I was playing a lot of lower potential, longer intraday, wanted to be holding longer intraday holds for just kind of channel holding, multi-day holders that would potentially spike. I was 50% on the day with over 6 trades, so 3 successful trades, and then 1 short that we'll mention on AVCT as well. But that was all I wanted to mention. Nothing for me in the afternoon. I'm taking off, and family over as well too, so disrupting that flow a little bit. But that's life, and we'll deal with it as it comes. But let's get into the charts. ENSC. I'm trading this one long. 4 million floater, 50 million shares that I'm seeing here of potential dilution on this multi-day boy. They do have a negative, no, that's a different one. But liking this multi-day move here with this volume that we've had recently, if we cut out this little, perfect. There on the daily, even on the volume breakdown, just kind of saying big volume day, rest day, big volume day, rest day. Kind of looking for the same pattern to repeat over and over again on one thesis for this potential trade, but also liking I'm going to be drawing a lot of channels today for channels holding on yesterday's trading day. We can even kind of develop a little bit, something like that, and draw, right there, and draw it to there. Just what it was holding yesterday, using that as a potential guideline, maybe $4 to $4.50, even if we remove this again of not holding specifically or hard to any technical levels like that. Sometimes they do work out pretty perfectly like that, that they hold just perfectly to a round $half level, whole dollar level area. But again, it's just a range. It's not a predefined, has to be precise key level, but sometimes it can be. And it worked pretty well actually for a few of these to the cover side, to the sell side. We got a bounce on that on this third day run up off of that 450 level area. So, and then how it was holding in this range from Friday, last trading day over the weekend, just looking for any amount of consolidation or holding of that range and break to the upside of that for a potential trade. So starting in on all of these trades in the morning in the pre-market, just getting a feeler position, starting in with very, very low potential that these trades would actually happen, just based on no amount of level 2 time and sale. I mean, a little bit of level 2 to say, okay, we got a little bit of bid support here at this price point, but not really assuming that price is going to move directly from that entry, just kind of covering all of our bases to say, I think there is potential for this to move later, potentially the rest of the day. So just starting in with that on all of these, and again, exposing myself more and more to kind of being in more tickers. So I have to be a little bit more focused and adaptive to breaking down the individual stocks so I can move down the next chart very quickly and gaining information as quick as I possibly can. Because usually I got stuck in the past a lot of times with that of if I was just holding myself to one chart because I said, okay, I need to focus, put all my attention in one chart, and then I was sometimes making a little bit too much more than was actually there and kind of psyching myself out, and a little bit of ADHD, a distraction, trying to focus too hard on that one level 2 time sales is going to be like, okay, we're in a boring little time here. And then I get a little lapse of judgment, and then it's like, okay, it's happening right now. So just different things like that. I'm growing in the experience that way. But for this one specifically, that'll break down at we were falling off pretty hard right out of the gate. And I just thought, man, this $4 whole dollar level, again, like I just mentioned, I'm not holding it specifically hard to that I'm expecting it to hold that $4 level, but it was just not looking good. And I thought this was going to be a sign for the rest of the day that the trend has reversed here. We put in a top on this, the 9th of December here, and we're starting a little bit of downside. So respecting that, understand, okay, I'll just cut it there, move on to the next one. Broke under 4 for a little bit, but then got up, bought back up within these next 2-3 minutes here. I'm saying, oh, very nice, and kind of got a double top here for that morning open price. So I said, okay, well, again, it's just another little fake out. There's kind of residue price action there for that. So just let it do what it wants to do. But it has a little bounce off of VWAP and starts trying again. So it ends up coming back a little bit closer. We're developing a little bit more on the bid. So I started in at 432-ish that I got here, and it was crazy because the bid support just as soon as I pushed that button, as I'm pushing it, bid support just immediately died off and fell, and then it was just like the bid was below 4.3, 4.25 something, I believe. I was just like, whoa, how'd that happen? But then it slowly started to come back in again. It's like, okay, the trade's still on at this point. We get a little kind of fake out attempt here, 4.4, that fails, but still maintaining that same range again. Trade's not dead, in my opinion. And then bam, just out of nowhere, volume coming in, slapping to 4.7 immediately from there. I'll take a few shares, 4.7-ish. I believe the exit was there. Oh yeah, so this was the first, that was the first trade on that one. And then average exit for the second trader was around 4.45-ish, as it was taking off half of the position, my 5 shares, whatever I was trading. Taking off half there because I certainly don't want to limit myself on these ones if it's just a crazy amount of upside for low floaters. The little bit of winter markets that we're in right now, I certainly don't want to ever handcuff myself like that, especially as I'm just so educational and experimental at this point too. But taking profits as they are there, not when I have to taking at least some of the position off, and then respecting the guidelines of, okay, we're dying off pretty hard after that attempt for new breakouts. It's a lot of volume for what the chart was putting in on the day as well too there, and really not anything as compared to what it was doing this past multi-day run up here. So yeah, respecting the price as it was there when the trade was saying that it was over, cutting it and respecting it as it was there. So nice little win recovery. Ends up being like a 50% win rate for going in, winning once on twice on 2 trades. But regardless of that too, the thesis was on par to say it did kind of respect that little $4 range. It did get bought back up pretty much immediately after that. You can say and look back on this, well, you maybe should have risked that 3.8 level, but gosh, starting in that is a pretty wide range for this thing to continue to go and respect. But it has done that in the past few days too, to respect a crazy little wide range to operate in. So lots of different factors go into trading these things as always, and that can continue to learn. EFOI I'll go into next. Another great one that moved a heck of a lot farther than I traded it in the morning session. It's just crazy to see. The first thing on my head that I was baffled by of what a great sale I had precisely at that $4 level, but drops 10% immediately from that attempt. It was just crazy to see. I was all the way out already, but I was just shocked that it could drop that far. I expected it to maybe have a little pull to VWAP here, and then maybe it fools around. Maybe it do have the same move the rest of the afternoon or into the close like it did today. But gosh, that was kind of crazy to see just how hard it wanted to drop off immediately after that. I was surprised myself, but that's another great example too of why we are taking profits as they are there and scaling out a little bit to save ourselves that way. This was one of my favorite ones on the day, just for this channel that it was holding 3.2 here, or even put it kind of a top here at this point. Again, how rudimentary, even like these channels, I mentioned with that price level, it's a price range. It doesn't necessarily have to be a specific price level. And the same thing with these channels too. They can and sometimes be precise and awesome that way, but they also don't have to respect that perfectly either. No price cares about your stupid little channel that you're drawing. But golly, we're getting a lot of trades in there, and on the daily as well too. Even if this range, if you extend this out, we traded there for quite 1 to 2 months, starting closer into the fall. That would be fall, right? Yeah. In the fall as well too. So hitting a lot of volume, and especially on that first day with the big volume, that was hitting a lot of key areas that way too. So like that channel hold off of the weekend that it reclaimed to, and that we were still holding in this pre-market today. So the same thesis, scaling in pre-markets, looking for with the knowledge that it was going to be a lower potential trade, that it wasn't necessarily, we weren't expecting it to happen immediately from there, but wanting to be in to cover the basis from there, that I need to be selling when the actual trade is confirmed. I need to be taking off profits. We saw that definitely in ENSC, that normally I would be, had I been waiting for these trades to confirm themselves, and to say, we'll put on 1 minute here, be waiting for, okay, we're actually getting the break to new high of day, like trying to get in on this candle. I'm definitely going to be taking slippage to 445, maybe even like 4.5 there. And then what am I going to be selling into? What am I going to be looking to get? If I'm perfect, maybe I get 10% as it goes to 4.9, if I'm able to just barely slap that top candle there. But that is being so precise and so perfect. And that's what you're selling into, versus establishing your win rate and your risk reward alongside the kind of safety and comfort of knowing you've got time or you've got space in order to let the trade breathe and let the trade grow as it should and scale as it should, not be so hard focused on, I need to be getting my 10%, I need to be waiting for this trade to confirm. And that puts just so much more focus and emphasis on putting in on the fret of, I got to have all these charts up at the same time because they could be moving at any single one point, versus, okay, I'm in all of these, which one's going to work? That's kind of a very, very basic, and can be, I could see it being very deadly at times too, of trying to focus on that many charts and just spreading yourself far too thin with that too. But in the same thing of today, I think I'm bringing all these charts to the table to say, okay, I think there is a probability on all of these, and I'm establishing a risk reward based on all of those today, that they're going to go at some point, and defining them not so hard by what I do individually with the entries and exits, but understanding that it's a collective group in a sense too for the day, which kind of looked out for the day with how many of these were in this little range bound type of trade that way. Going off a more thesis like that as compared to the individual, this trade specifically right here is going to be 1-to-1, getting so nitpicky like that too. Today was more of a broad type of spectrum of giving myself the opportunities that way of understanding that it's going to be a lower potential per the individual trade immediately from it's not going to be a scalpy type of day, but there could be plenty of potential and upside with alongside of that, a little bit more leniency, because you don't have to be so quick and so fretting over the charts themselves and the individual price action, level 2 and time and sales. You just give yourself a little bit of a barrier, give yourself a little bit of time that way. Back to where we on EFOI. I was mentioning EFOI. Starting in with 3.3, we get nice price action out of the market open. I'm scaling out here with my first few shares. What am I trading? 7 shares. So taking off 1 share as we're peaking a little bit here at 3.5. Pulls back to VWAP, bounces nicely. Again, off of the top of that channel. We've seen a few of those in this past year too, of how it reacted in this afternoon on this day. A little bit break here on that first day itself. Kind of bounces a little bit on last week trading day Friday. So the same thing again, that just scaling out, taking profits as they're there, as we're in the money. Not being so gunslingerish of trying to throw all the shares and wait for that $4 move. But we get another perk here, taking off responsibly at 3.7, same thing. Still maintains, holds above VWAP, and trade still on, in my opinion, at that point. Get another little opportunity. I'm taking off one at another little perk here, 3.83 or something, as I'm saying, okay, this could be a potential topish here, but we do get another little short squeeze to squeeze in a few more. That gets me to, this was my last 1 share, so very small position size that I was holding in anticipation of that whole dollar level of 4. Like I mentioned at the start of this little ticker, crazy to see how hard that thing dropped off immediately after that $4 test, but recovered very quickly, held above VWAP the rest of the day there, closed very nicely. After hours, not looking so good. I think Huddy was actually planning on holding it after hours, and seeing this run into the close here, I would be very tempted the same thing, especially on the daily for where this run is, and not so much volume for me to accompany that thesis with, but and again, this after hours not looking great to accompany that thesis either for what type of price action is moving, but certainly would have tried to go long or played a few if I was watching this for a potential overnight on that style of trade. But that is trading. They also This one I'm going to mention negative cash flow. They've got 5.2 million shares of potential dilution, but they're trading, 14.15 million shares they were trading today. So not like was going to impact anything. They do historically, as you've seen here, start of the year, halfway through the year, they've given out S3s. So pretty much every 6 months. So we are in that kind of timeline that had I been holding a longer trade thesis like that, that's also what I would have had to bring into the pre-trade assessment on this one of, we are in that time zone that they could drop S3 or some more overhead on this one. So having to be careful on that one too. But of course they didn't. I wasn't playing it at all anyway. DWAC I'll get into, again, along the same lines of those first two, and same thing on ISIG. Speculative, lower probability trade, but still looking for far more upside, far more risk, or far more reward as compared to what I thought the risk was on this one. I took a lot of slippage, even for the one share I was trading, but big volume range we've been in, big past volume days we've been in these past 2 days here after a nice little green day on the 8th. Little wedginess that we've been holding here. Thought $55, that whole level bounced nicely off of that. The previous trading day last week Friday. Can't really draw an awesome channel on this one. What do I want? 5 minutes. Let's do that. So thought, we're getting a little bit of a bottom here, maybe a little bit of a wedge from that trading day Friday. It closed to the downside of that wedge. You can draw what I'm seeing here as it's going top to bottom. These little bottoms here. It did kind of break to the bottom of that into the close on that last week trading day Friday. But these things, nothing ever truly dies, like Bowen mentioned in today's pre-market prep too, that you can never underestimate it. And respecting, of course, there's got to be a time of knowing when to cut these losers. But just for how it was holding, moving a little gap in a little bit higher from today, thought there was going to be potentially some amount of juice. And today would have been the potential day, in my opinion, if we did break to the upside of this more multi-day channel wedge move. We could have seen some hotter action going into the end of this year here. But again, it's like Bowen mentions with this thing all the time. We need that pumper in chief. It's just going to do nothing if we can't get. It's not like I'm calling Trump to do anything in this one, but that's what it needs. It just needs that little oomph and huge volt of surge to move anything crazy on this one. So like I mentioned, I was looking for like 55.5-ish. It was tanking pretty hard out of the gate. And I got a huge amount of slippage, even with my one share. I actually somehow, with my one share, I got a fill lower than what it's showing for the low of this candle, 53.76. It's showing I filled at 53.75. Awesome. Terrible exit. We're definitely going to have to. And I wasn't really watching it so hard. It was in the corner of my chart, and I was like, oh, okay, crap, I got to sell. So I can attribute it to that, too, that maybe if I was watching it a little bit harder, I could have been out a little bit sooner, not just push and sell the bid and getting screwed out that way. But getting filled lower than what it shows as a low of that candle. Awesome. And death day today too. So really, I think it's dead for the meantime as of right now. ISIG, I'll mention, go into now. We're cruising through this trend reversal day, first red day, but still looking at this one as a long because again, it's. I don't want to put into the perspective or the words of expecting or waiting for lightning to strike twice like it did on that last week Thursday. That was awesome to be a part of that little trade there. But the base that we're holding here today just continues to do this over and over again. It did it that first day after that crazy first day move. Kind of has a little rest day, but holding squeezes before market. That was an awesome trading day as well too. Or I was trying to trade that one. Yeah, I don't have to recap that daily trading recap, but the same thing of watching from yesterday. Little range you could draw here. This channel for how it was holding here too. Affecting that on this day too. That Wednesday, that last week trading day. So again, very speculative, very lower potential trade to immediately happen from that point. Not so scalpy of a trade, but more of I am expecting to be waiting in this one for a little bit longer of a trade, but fortunate to see that it kind of started moving nicely right after my entry. Still hits the top of this range, starts to pull back a little bit at market open. Again, top ticks around there in the market hours session, but still is within that range, respecting that range. So I'm still holding the trade through the morning session as all the other ones are going on and kind of dying off. This one's it's still holding there. So if it did want to continue to hold there for the rest of the day, I still would have been in it, holding it for tomorrow. Did get a little perk above there, and had I been watching this hard, I think I only had one share. Maybe I would have been scaling out one share, if I did have one share, or scaling out at least of some of my position in this little perk, just to, like with all those other trades, take profits as they are there, not just go all gung-ho, happy-go-lucky on these trades, just forcing more out of it than is actually there. Yeah, I don't think I was watching it, or was off the computer making breakfast probably. And then respecting the bottom as it's being put in. I think a lot of other people were too, as we do get a little harder red candle there for the drop off for that range. So unfortunate to see my thesis, but yeah, Jack Schwartz was actually mentioning in chat, hey, this might be a great little short day. Look for any spikes during the morning session to get short into. This could be a continuation, first red day. Trade to the short side there, but not huge volume to convince me that any longs are panicking on this one. And true to this run up too, it's not like it was a lot of longs pushing this run up to begin with. It's just early shorts getting squeezed like crazy. So there's not like huge amount of bag holders potentially in this one that would be panicking out as this this parabolic chart is going reversal that way too. So it's not like it's going to be pushing hard to the downside, but definitely with everything too, there's got to be a backside at some point. Famous last words. That's how I mentioned. And yeah, like I mentioned, sub-million floater. Yeah, you can never turn your back on these crazy low floaters, and no other crazy dilution that would convince me that it would dump hard like that to be long. AVCT, I'll mention now, the golden little short, kind of lucky little experience to be a part of. They put out 424B5 today, 7.8 million shares at $1.60 a share, so they're getting $25 million there. And they actually had another 424B3 on Friday after the close of 6.6 million shares. So they are ready to frickin' put out the cash. Nice little bleeding daily chart as well too, I like for a short. And I was just calling for this, as I'm pulling up the chart on the scanner, I was just kind of calling the bluff on this volume exhaustion day here for any continuation, especially with how top wicky this candle was. The close from that previous trading day just did not seem to have a lot of life left in it. Obviously after hours in pre-market today showed it did have a considerable amount of range, but again, just being very educational, very experimental with all of these. So putting my hand in the fire, saying I'm willing to go short this one, and respecting price. If it's there, if you're going to continue to squeeze, then I will step out of the way. You can continue to go do what you want to do. But kind of fun to be a part of as it's putting out that 424B5. I got faked out actually on this first one, and these I would have looked at it would have been totally fine anyway if I hadn't squeezed out. But this is another one where a reason why I love this little paper trading, and of course this one was totally mental. It's for me entering these trades is just me calling it out verbally to say, okay, I am short here at 2.5 to 2.53, whatever it was. Holding myself accountable to that and actually getting to push a button. It's a little bit different, but it's the best for what I have right now, paper shorting in pre-market. And I was totally faked out. I thought 255 was going to easily break here. I thought we had a lot of bid support coming in. I thought it was looking very strong to not only break above VWAP, but break this little attempt here that it did try to reclaim VWAP there. I got faked out, covered at 255 verbally. Those dang market makers get me out here verbally. They just hear me through my microphone. But faked out there. But again, getting back in the same thing of, okay, wow, well, it rejected that 255 attempt. I was wrong there. I'm willing to get back in again. If it recovers from there too, then I'm certainly thinking there's going to be a lot more to the upside after that too, for how many times it's faked out. There's a lot more life left in this one than I believe was shown here than I was initially thinking. Then get to ride it out a little bit more. It's still holding around 2.5-ish. Then they put out that 424B5, dumping it, cover it nicely, 223-ish, half of my position there. And then it was just getting a little bit too bought up for me. So 217 was my last cover to fill the rest of that position. Again, all verbally, all mental of a trade here that I was in. It's just holding myself accountable to what I was saying verbally for my word. And of course, it just rides crazy, crazy lower the rest of the day. And I had that thought there of, with my last half of a position, to say, okay, well, it may, because the thesis against me holding the rest of the shares for market hours was, how many times have I played these that they put out this offering that they've had their little dump, but they haven't died. They've just hung around just a little bit enough in order to get a huge crazy squeeze later on. And I played those to the long side very nicely a few times. So as it was put out there and as the price was very, very decent for me to take off, I took off. And not necessarily a regret for me, but still learning less. And you can always look back at all of these. And so, yeah, I had the thought process of I totally would have been holding on to that last half of shares, letting it drop the whole rest of the day to let it do what it wants to do and just completely die off, as this company definitely needs the cash. But they, certainly totally distracted right now. But yeah, just great experience overall added to the win rate on the day. And great experience that I don't think I've ever really been a part of, being short as they're putting out, offering 424B5s, 44B3s that way too. So nice little trade to start the day off as well too, even though it was mental. Still adding to that knowledge P&L bank every single day that way. Watch list for me, that was the rest. That was all that I wanted to get to today. Watch list going in for tomorrow, rest of the week. The memers, AMC, GME. Man, they had a hard sell up day today. I think there's a few more technical levels to break through. GME was a little bit clear. Not that one. GME was a little bit clearer today too. These hard days, it was down 14% today. Broke a hard little level here at 150 today. Still in this hard downtrend, and I think break obviously any of these areas of technical support that it could continue to hit. 130-ish, bottom here at 114, 115-ish. Could be a hard downhill from here, especially as everybody and their grandma is looking and waiting for, expecting a hot winter market, but it's just not there, and everybody's still bagged in these ones, and it's just so much institutional overhead that's willing to dump more on these losers. I don't want to call them losers because I was one of them, but that is just willing to slam these things down so hard. That could be a hard ride down. More education. I'm totally be watching. I don't think I would take any position on those for right now to distract me from the other ones that I'm looking for. Also watching, potentially looking for AXXA, OTC boy. Nice little volume today too. Great percentage day, 87% in the green. Nice run into the close there. So see if there's any continuation. Obviously very widespread, volatile mover. So gotta respect the slippage, gotta respect that OTC grind. That one may be a little bit more of a watcher than any playing, especially when I'm trying to do a small position size that way too. It's just so tough when OTC fees eat up the trade that way too. But then also SGMA, wider little base that it's developing here today. Again, a little squeeze attempt after that great move. I didn't see it. I wasn't there Friday for this move that it had during market hours, but still kind of holding pretty nicely. We got very key levels, $13 hold dollar level, $14 level, and a little bit wider of a range. Would I be trading this thing with a bigger position size? Of course, that would be incur. I think that's the correct word to use there. Sizing way down in order to take on that wider risk level that I would have to be scaling into in order to protect myself for that lower probability trade that we do get any amount of curling or reversal of a trade in order to fight against a potential continuation first red day move tomorrow or the rest of this week for that style of trade. But what was the float on this one again? Just as a reminder, always respecting these 3.2 million floater I'm showing here on scan. So always respecting that low float, the opportunity for these things to strike, and also short sale restricted. So that could be very, very nice. And just as another little indication that I'm reading in here too, reading the tea leaves of, it may not be directly from the morning that we get a play. It may not be half an hour after the market open. We may have to wait a little bit of an hour to see if there's any amount of strength coming in or volume coming in for a trade to happen like it did today, and that type of price action showed. So it doesn't always have to happen in the time frame that we want to, directly allocated from the market open or pre-market. It can kind of happen when you least expect it at times. So we may factor that into that chart watching tomorrow as well. That is all I wanted to mention, coming in just under half an hour. I sincerely thank you guys for watching. We will catch you guys on the next one.